There is only one way we can start this weekend, and that is talking about orcs. That's right. Tune in. Let's begin. Let's take a look at what everyone has been waiting for. Codex Orks.
The Dark Kin.
Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast video here on SkaredCast. I'm here at the studio, at the Spire. We're looking at the first read-through of Codex Orks. I am super excited about this book. Huge shout out to GW. Thank you so much. I'm super excited about starting to do these pre-release videos for you. The Orc Codex is up for pre-order today, so make sure you go to your local friendly hobby store, you go to your nearest GW, or go online and order your copy today. The war is real. So, this is the first time I've done one of these videos for a pre-release. So I'm gonna go over, like I've had a chance to read through the book, and there's a couple of really cool things. So I'm gonna preface it by saying, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to get to them. I'll be doing more in-depth coverage about specific aspects of the book. This video is gonna be more of a general overview. We're gonna talk about the feel of the book, the different units, things that I've noticed that change, some of the stratagems that pop out to me. Essentially, what you can expect from playing the orcs on a table near you. So I'm very excited about the Orc book. I feel you're going to be very happy if you're a die-hard Orc player, or if you're an Orc player that has been playing, that has just picked up the green skins. The feel of the army is very unique, and I really like it. I really like what they've done. I really like what they've done with the Orcs. And yeah, let's dive right in, shall we? So, Orcs. So, like every codex, we start with an introduction. I love the I love the introduction. Welcome to Codex Orks. Every greenskin worth his teeth knows that books are best used for bashing other people over the head. Oh, I love it. That's like the first line. So you can kind of tell what sense of humor kind of went into this. The artwork is fantastic. I'll put some shots of some of the artwork and stuff. We go over the basic history behind the orcs, how they're created, the sort of hierarchy from knobs to Gretchen to snotlings, a lot of their culture. How they thrive on combat. So the lore is really rich for the orcs. They were created by the old ones, essentially to combat the Necrons, because they had no fear. And even though they're like the perfect weapon, the perfect sort of race to do warfare. Their biggest hubris is that they fight a lot amongst themselves. So they can never, even though they're the most powerful force in the universe, it's hard for them to kind of get together and fight unified as one, because they end up kind of just fighting amongst themselves unless they get into a big war, and then that's like one big war boss that kind of gathers all the orcs together, and it's like an unstoppable mass of green skins. So, we've got the tribes and clans. Something I really like about the book is it gives you rules to play with your own unique tribe and clan. Ever since the beginning of the Orcs, we've always had Goths, and we've had Bad Moons, and we've had the Freebooters, and we've had all these different clans, and they're really represented in their own rules in here. So we'll kind of go through a few of those as well. So stay tuned as we kind of dive in. So we've got the Goth clan. They're like the biggest and the meanest, essentially. Gazgul Thraka, he's the main war boss. Third war from Armageddon, second war of Armageddon. There's a lot of history behind the Goth clan. Evil Sons, they're essentially the cult of speed, or mostly fast vehicles, getting into the fight fast, bikers, truck boys, lots of flyers. Their mobs, you know, their clan is all about going in and getting to the fight first. The Blood Axe clan, they're sneaky, they're known to use tactics and strategy, which a lot of orcs don't understand. They're also known in the lore to be mercenaries and fight for imperial commanders sometimes, only to turn on them eventually. But they use camouflage and the unique strategies that orcs find kind of weird as to why you would want to do it in the first place. Death Skull's clan, lucky, right? They use blue because they think it's lucky, and they try to they loot things. They like looting things essentially. So they basically want to try and get the killing part over quickly so they can grab all the stuff and trade it, and they like stealing things and whatnot. Bad Moons, they're the rich guys that have all the best gear. They love all the new gear and stuff. They can afford it. They've got their teeth grow at a rapid rate. Teeth, by the way, is what orcs use for currency. Snakebite clan, they adhere to the old ways. A lot of the time, snakebites have been put hand in hand with the feral orcs style. So it's a rite of passage where they have to like eat a snake or something. They use like a primitive lifestyle even by orc standards. The freebooters, they're outcasts. They've left the tribe and clan and they rampage. They're like pirates, like pirate orcs. It's pretty cool. So those are like the main ones. There's a whole bunch of things like orc glyphs and whatnot if you want to learn how to do orc language, and if you want to draw it on your vehicles and on your stompers and on your boys. You know, it's really cool. You kind of use their language. I love their numbers here. You've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then lots. Really funny. So, you know, in space, hulks, orc rocks, cool map of expansion for the orcs. You know where they are. They're literally everywhere. The Cicatrix Maledictum, they feel, is the orc gods essentially smiling and vomiting stuff out of space. So they love the fact that they're orc. They feel like it's something sent by the gods so they can have more battles, and they love it. Then we've got the timeline, which is a very generic thing in all the codexes. You have a timeline that gives you all the cool battles that the orcs have participated in and whatnot, and things like that as well. Then, of course, every single unit by unit. So we've got war bosses, knobs, mega knobs, pain boys, mechaniacs, so mechs and big mechs, weird boys, burner boys, looters, tank busters, trucks, which, by the way, is one of the coolest things that has changed in the book. The cost of trucks went way down. So good. Battle wagons, and there's like 3 different types of battle wagons. War bikes, death copters, Megatrack scrapjacks, boomdacker snaz wagons, aka all the stuff from Speed Freaks, custom booster blasters, shock jump dragsters, death killer war trikes, rucker truck squig buggies, fly boys, which includes Dackerjecks, blitzer bombers, Wasbom blaster jets, you know, mech guns, Gretchens, runt herds, killer cans, death dreads, Gorkanauts and Morkanauts, at stompers, stomboys, boss Zagstruck, who's like the goth storm boy and his vulture boys. He's really cool, by the way. I love his rules. Commandos, Snickrot, Flashgits, Badruck, Captain Bagruck, Mad Dog, Doc Grotznick, Gazgul Thraka, and they ended on Gazgul Thraka. There is a lot of stuff in this book. So you're going to be able to take your collection and play it however you want. There's some, you know, it's really cool. I'm so excited to see greenskins on the table. They're supposed to be a staple of the 40,000 universe. So let me know what you think down below. What kind of clan do you play? What are you most excited about? You know, what do you hope and dream is your best unit going to be able to do? So the art of the war. You know, I'm not going to yell too loudly, but you can yell to the top of your lungs. Whoa! Which is really cool. Okay, so a couple of cool things. We're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty. Kind of what you can expect, changes from the index, things that stood out to me as not an Orc player. I don't play Orcs, but things that stood out to me that I think Orc players are really going to find useful. Now, of course, once you get the book, you'll be able to digest it and really kind of come up with your own tactics, your own strategies, and things that you enjoy the most. First of all, clans. So the keyword clan, essentially, you know, a lot of Orc boys would be like Orc boy clan. So you can make it a Goth clan, you can make it a Bad Moons clan, you can make it a evil Red Skulls, Red Moons. Oh my goodness, you can make it a clan. Okay, so any sort of thing, like it's a faction keyword, so anything that affects a clan would affect clan models from that. So you can make up your own clan and use rules to represent it from here, or you can make, you know, use some of the rules or make a Goth clan, for example, for yourself. Cool. Abilities. So the abilities are generic for all Orcs. The first one, the biggest one that was talked about was Daka Daka Daka. Each time you roll an unmodified hit roll of a 6 for an attack with a ranged weapon, you automatically succeed with the hit and you get to roll an additional hit. When firing a weapon that randomly generated characteristics, additional hits use the same characteristic that you rolled already, so you don't have to, like, you know, re-roll your strength or whatever if you already are high strength or low strength. This is one of the biggest changes in the Orc book, and I feel it's one of the best changes in the Orc book. Any unmodified roll of a 6 hits, no matter modifiers, no matter, you know, anything like that. So you can be hitting a Latok Hemlock with -1 to hit, so you're looking at -3 to hit. Any other army would suffer -3 to hit. Orcs hit it on a 6. Doesn't matter if you need an 8, if you need a 7, it doesn't matter if you on a 6, it's an automatic hit and you get to roll again. So that doesn't seem like a lot. You know, Orc ballistic skill is usually 5. Grot ballistic skill is 4. So you're not really hitting with a lot on average. However, there is quality in numbers. When you roll enough dice over the course of a 6 or 7 turn game, eventually the odds will sort of catch up with you. And there'll be 1, maybe 2 turns where you roll very, like, above average. Now, this is where Orcs shine. Orcs work the best when you use math to your advantage. Rolling 100 dice, hitting on 5s might not seem like a lot. However, on the odd chance that if you're rolling 100 dice every turn, there's going to be 1 turn where your dice just roll really well, and all of a sudden those 100 dice feel more like 500 dice. That's where Orcs come into the forefront, and this really showcases that. You'll have the odd turn where your looters or your tank busters all of a sudden roll a lot more 6s than they're supposed to. They automatically hit their target and they get all these additional shots. And that overwhelming Daka 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 is sort of like that epitome of chaotic power. That's what the Orcs sort of represent. Chaotic power, right? Not chaos in terms of the warp, but chaotic in terms of, you know, the ups and downs and the randomness. They could do not so good, but they sometimes do so well that it's just overwhelmingly good. So keeping track, that is a very strong rule that Orcs have. There's another one called Here We Go. You can reroll charge rolls. You can reroll any or all of the dice. And this is the charge roll. You can be successful charge roll, failed charge roll, 1 dice, both dice, whatever. So that's pretty cool. They have a mob rule. So any unit with the mob rule, when using a leadership characteristic of its unit, can choose either the leadership of it, or you can use you can use the leadership of another unit within 6 inches, or you can use the leadership of itself up to its total, like, number of models. So if you got like a 30-man Orc Boy squad, then that's leadership 30. So an Orc Boy squad that has taken 20 casualties is still leadership 30, because if they're within 6 inches of another mob. So it's just like a mob rule, which is really cool. Essentially making large blocks of boys very hard to dislodge. And they also have a rule called speed mob. So basically means that even though bought as a unit and deployed as a unit, once the battle begins, the units sort of act independently. So like the trucks and stuff like that. War gear list, battle wagon equipment, shooting weapons, knob weapons. Got a variety of different weapon rules. You can kind of check that out, but you can equip your stuff. So Ghazghkull Thraka, biggest things that I've noticed, he went up in points a little bit. His custom claw is not -1 to hit anymore, and he basically just has a 4-up invulnerable save, has the Daka Daka rule, essentially. He is a Goth powerhouse. He's 8 wounds. He just murders things and gives +1 attack to all Goth units that charge within 6 inches of him. So he is a force multiplier. He's not hard to get rid of with his mega armor and an invul save, and he will do some work with his. We'll see the Goth rules in a bit, but he's hefty, and he's not that expensive for a hefty character like that. Basic war boss, really cool. All infantry within 6 can charge even though they advance, which means you can really move and charge as long as there's a war boss around, which is pretty cool. The same as for Ghazghkull Thraka. They have the mob rule, here we go, the Daka Daka, they break heads, and you can really equip them with a variety of gear. So your war boss is like a toolkit character. You can fit into anything. Great in an infantry army that you want to be advancing and charging. You want him in the thick of it where he can like coordinate those assaults. Orcs on foot are going to be ridiculously fast. They're going to be able to get to where they want to go, move, advance, and get stuck in where their numbers are really going to kind of show. Big mech with shock attack gun basically is a unit with a big shock attack gun. He can heal vehicles, can have a Grut Oiler, etc., etc. The shock attack gun is cool. It's 60 inches. It's strength 2d6. If you roll an 11 plus to hit, it does mortal wounds. It's d6 damage -5 AP. So it can be like really strong. It's 60 inches, so they're like a predator. It's pretty neat. Like you can just sit back and they're like glass cannons. Pretty neat. I like the shock attack gun, and he's not too expensive for a character. You have a big mech and mega armor. That's the way you get a custom force field on foot. Big mechs can, of course, heal vehicles if they have a force field. Same thing. Units have to be wholly within 9. They get a 5-up invulnerable save against shooting, and they can repair vehicles. But he can move, advance, and still repair. There's no limit on how far he can move to repair, which is pretty cool. Weird Boy. Weird Boy's pretty cool. They still have the war energy, so they get +1 for every 10 models. They have a maximum of +3, however, and they still perils if you go over a 12. They can cast 1 power, and they can attempt to deny 1 power. There's a cool stratagem that makes them warp heads, which allows them to cast more powers, which is pretty cool. Boss Snickrot, he's an infiltrator. He's a very affordable HQ. Any sort of the commandos, when attacking units in cover, they get better. I don't think you'll see him very, very good, very much, because there's other better options. But if you like infiltratey stuff, that's pretty cool. They can deep strike, essentially. And enemy units are -1 leadership while he's around, because he's scary. Now, one of my favorite HQs is this one, Boss Zagstruck. He is the Vulture Boy, the Storm Boy. He's like a war boss, so he gives, well, first of all, he makes all Goth Storm Boys around him fearless. Really cool. So you have 30-man Storm Boy units, completely fearless. You can deep strike him, which is pretty cool. He can advance 6 inches instead of rolling a dice like every Storm Boy. However, you roll a 1, he suffers a mortal wound, so they can be hurt. And he has a 5-up feel no pain, essentially, which is pretty neat. So he's got 6 wounds and a 5-up feel no pain. That's not terrible for a very inexpensive character. And he's got a really cool like Power Claw, the claws on his feet, he can make 3 attacks with them. So he's not like the craziest in combat. However, he's going to be very versatile for an army that is a lot of Stormboys. So you're going to have to watch out for that guy. I feel like he's going to be a powerhouse in the Orc Codex. Then you've got the big Death Killer War Trike, which is really neat. He's the new war boss on a war trike from the Orc book. I mean, from the Fast Speed Freaks box. Basically, all biker and vehicle units within 6 inches can charge, even if they advanced. Kind of like a war boss, but for all vehicles and bikers instead of infantry. Pretty cool. He can advance 6 inches once per battle instead of rolling a dice. Pretty neat. He explodes because he's a vehicle. But he's a vehicle that can hide. You know, you can't target him. Got lots of attacks. Got some cool rules. Got a stratagem or 2 you can use on him. So he's very versatile, and he's not too expensive either for what you get. Okay, Captain Badruck. One of the only orcs with an invulnerable save. He has a 5-up pinball, which is pretty cool. All flash gets reroll 1s to hit while they're within 6 inches of him, so he combos really well with them. And he's a freebooter as well. So if you want to run a freebooter army, he'd kind of be a really cool HQ, which is pretty neat. And then that's the HQs. Then you go into your boys. Boys and Gretchen, the 2 troops available to the orcs. Boys, very versatile. You can make them shooty or choppy. That's all you have to remember. There's 7 points a boy now, so they did go up. You can have up to 30 boys in the unit with a knob. And you can have, for every 10 models, a tank buster bomb. You can have, for every 10 models, a rocket launcher, big shooter. So you can have tank buster bombs in the unit now. You can have rocket launchers or big shooters in the unit. So you can have stuff for close combat against tanks, not just the orc knob. So tank buster bombs are a 6-inch grenade that is strength 8, d6 damage. Pretty cool, minus 2 AP. So that's not bad. You can take a tank buster bomb and throw a grenade at a tank, which is pretty neat if you need one. Choppers are great, lots of attacks. They're basically fearless because of mob rule. They're toughness 4. Like, orc boys are your basic infantry, and you're going to see a couple of big mobs of them. I prefer them with shooters because they all have shots, and then you have shooting and close combat. But let me know what it is you want. What do you want? Gretchen, 3 points a pop. Nothing crazy. Gretchen, they're like your backfield objective holders. There's some really cool stratagems where you can use them as like shields, where if they shoot a boy unit, the grots can take the hits. Really awesome. So if you want to use them as a big line of like infantry, they also have, you know, they're surprisingly dangerous in large numbers. So they add +1 to hit when there's 20 more models. Pretty neat, which means if there's 20 more, they're ballistic skill 3. Oh my goodness, that's the best orc shooting ever. Or weapon skill 4, which is pretty neat. Then we go into elites. Mad Doc Grotznik, he's basically a crazy orc, like doc that has to charge even though he falls back because he's absolutely nuts. He can attempt to do surgery on units of infantry or bikers. On a 2+, you can regain wounds and stuff because he's crazy. Pain Boy does the same. Basically gives all units within 3 a 6-up feel no pain. Pretty neat. As long as they're the same clan, he can also, you know, help heal units. It's pretty standard stuff, which is pretty neat. You've got your mech, standard mech, can fix vehicles, has access to some cool weapons. A Runtard, if you have grots, you want to take a Runtard, keeps them in line. Burner Boys, they're pretty neat. They shoot stuff. They have a really cool rule that if they kill something in the shooting phase, they automatically pass morale tests because they're pyromaniacs. They like watching things burn. And if you have a Mechaniac in there, the Mechaniac can also heal vehicles. But they basically have shooting, like flamers. Kind of neat. Tank Busters. Your basic tank buster is a unit of vehicle killers. They still get their reroll hits against vehicles. They have bomb squigs, which are like an 18-inch assault 1 use weapon. So you can launch the bomb squids out if you want. But they're also models now, so they can die if you shoot them. To not lose tank busters. Your basic knobs on foot. They're cheaper. You know, you go in. They basically have... They have the ability to take like cyborg bodies or whatever. One knob can take a cyborg body, which gives them like a feel no pain. They're just like, you know, 2 wounded, tough boys, essentially. You can go in. You have a knob with a war banner. He's really cool to keep stuff around, hitting hard, which is pretty neat. Then you've got your mega knobs. They went down in points quite a bit. You can put them in a teleportarium with a stratagem. So they're like a heavy hitting unit. They can deep strike and reroll their charges too because of Here We Go. They also have the Daka Daka. They have the ability to take a variety of different really cool weapons. So that's pretty neat. They still suffer from not having an invul save. However, they're 3 wounds a pop, so they're like tough. They're relatively tough. You can still take your knobs on war bikes, which I think are going to be really good, especially because they're speed freaks. So you can give them a stratagem for -1 to hit, which is really awesome. And they can run up. They've got lots of shots. They do a lot of attacks in combat. They're still going to be a force to be reckoned with on the table. Your commandos, basic elite that can deep strike, essentially. So you can have up to 15 commandos, and you can have tank buster bombs in there as well. So if you need to like kill some tanks, but essentially just a 15-man infiltrating or deep striking unit, not bad. You have your basic war bikes, war bikers, pretty standard stuff. They did go down in points as well. They're speed freaks. They got Daka Daka with like their Daka gun, which is assault 3, and each bike has 2 Daka guns, so each bike has 6 shots. So you're moving around, shooting a lot at 18 inches. With Daka Daka, they're going to be volume of firepower. You're really going to see that come to the forefront. Then you've got the Speed Freak, essentially from the box set. So you got the Custom Booster Blaster, the Shock Jump Dragster. You've seen all the rules for these. Boom Daka Snazwagon, Megatrack Scrapjack, Rackatruck Squig Buggy. Cool. Then you got Storm Boys. Storm Boys are really neat. They're 9 points a model. They can auto advance 6 inches. So combine this with Zagstruck, which makes them fearless, and then combine it with a War Boss that allows you to advance and charge. Boom! You've got like 12-inch plus 6. You've got 18-inch moving Storm Boys that can still charge, re-rolling charges, and are fearless. Like, that's crazy. You can also deep strike them inherently if you want to deep strike them. Pretty neat. Death Copters are really neat. They went really down in points, like half points for a basic Death Copter. They still have their turbo boost, and they still have scouting ahead, so they can kind of, you know, deploy off any board edge, essentially. Now, one of the units that really changed was the Mech Gun. Now, before, Mech Guns were really confusing. They were like a unit and grots, and you had to like mix them all up, and you couldn't shoot the grots if the tank was nearby, etc., etc. They were all like different stuff, etc. So now it's just, they're like a 6 wounded model, and the grots are just there to basically be wound counters. They simplified it. It's just a single unit. It's a vehicle. It's artillery. It's a toughness 5 model. I love it. I think they simplified it. It's basically 1 mech gun, and all the grots have to be within 1 inch of it, and it's just a 6 wounded model. They simplified it. You can have up to 6 guns in a gun unit, essentially. You know, each mech gun are treated as a single model for all rules purposes, so that like a bunch of different individual units, but it's just a lot simpler. Great, I love it. Thank you so much. The bubble chuck has changed a little bit. It's just heavy strength D6, AP D6, damage D6. It's just you roll instead of having to like do this back and forth random stuff. Your opponent picks one and you pick one. No, it's just strength D6, AP D6, damage D6, heavy D6. Cool, awesome, I love it. The custom mega cannon is about the same. Smash gun's about the same. And the tractor beam is really neat. I'm surprised I haven't seen more tractor beams. But mech guns are going to be big. I have a feeling they'll be holding the backfield with a longer range and the ability to take out like targets that are hard for some of the orcs to take down with a good ballistic skill. Battle wagon. So battle wagon, gun wagon, and bone breaker are all sort of styles of battle wagons. They either have different guns or not, but you know, you can. They're basically ignore, move, and shoot penalties. You can. The gun wagon can shoot twice if you don't move, or move half its distance, which is pretty neat if you got a kill cannon. So they're kind of giving orcs a bit more versatility with the battle wagons. There's some really cool stratagems you can use with them as well that do mortal wounds, or that that you can like attack with models from inside a battle wagon out, which is pretty neat. if you really need them in a pinch, just adding more damage. Death rollers are still pretty cool, making it easier for all your attacks to hit in combat, etc., etc. And then you got the Bone Breaker that can do like more, basically if you charge it does extra wounds and stuff like that. So pretty neat, you know, it just depends on you've got a death roller on it, etc. That basically 3 different types of battle wagons you can take, so you can take a lot more battle wagons. If you want to make a list with 9 battle wagons, you can. It's completely up to you. It just depends on how you equip them. Killer cans, standard killer can. Got cheaper, still really cool. I love killer cans. They just got cheaper. Death Dreads got way cheaper, less than 100 points for standard Death Dread. They're pretty neat, and you can take up to mobs of 3 of them. No, 3. You can have up to 3 dreads in a mob. Of course, they act separately after that, except for killer cans. They act like a big unit together, and they all have Daka. So all these units are hitting more. Now the Gorkanaut and Morkanaut all got cheaper as well. I really like the Gorkanaut and Morkanaut because they got cheaper, and I feel like with the Daka rule, you know, and the Here We Go rule, rerolling charges, hitting better, you know, I feel like they're going to be worth more, especially with custom force fields and things like that. Looters, decent. You can have up to 15 looters in a unit, not too shabby. You know, they're pretty much the same as they were before. Pretty standard. You're going to see looters a lot. They're pretty awesome. I don't think they changed much. Flash gets wet down in points. Got some cool rules. They have rules, so they roll on a 6, they shoot again. And they're freebooters, so if you run them with Captain Badrock, they're rerolling 1s. Except now they're ballistic skill 4. They have a 4-up save. They have 2 wounds. You know, so they're pretty decent. You know, flash gets are not bad. They're pretty sturdy, like with good armor and shoot well, which is like the only orcs they hit on 4s, which is great. And their gun, the snaz gun, is a heavy 3 at 24, strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage. Their snaz gun got good. It's really neat. I like their snaz gun a lot. Imagine them in like a battle wagon. Whew, that's just crazy. You have 10 of them in a unit. Like, just imagine 20 of them in a unit. Ooh. So the truck, standard truck, went down like half in points. Essentially, went from like almost 100 points down to like 60 points. Like, that's all you need to know about a truck. It got really cheap. So now you can take like 2 trucks for the price of, or 3 trucks for the price of 2, which is awesome. Daka Jet, pretty much the same. Burner Bomber, pretty much the same. Blitz Bomber, pretty much the same. Hasn't really changed much. Wasbomb Blaster Jet hasn't changed. So if you notice any changes about those things, let me know. I'm not an orc expert. I don't pretend to be. I'm just really excited for you guys. It's nice to see orcs. Stomper got cheaper and gained a regeneration thing. So basically at the end of the movement phase, the little grot riggers can regenerate at D3 wounds every turn, which is pretty neat. And it has Daka. And I think they changed the Psycho Blaster, and I think they changed some of the weapons as well. We'll kind of go more in details. Being cheaper, the weapons working a little better, regenerating, maybe it's worth it. Maybe. I like it. I think the Stomp is great. You know, I honestly feel like you can start your list with a Stomper and still have enough in your army to make it worthwhile. Mech Boy Workshop is a new piece of terrain that you can take. Essentially, you deploy it, and you can have like a custom job onto an orc vehicle, basically docks into the mech workshop, and you can make it move faster next turn, or like regenerate it, or give it more Daka. So and it's not that expensive, less than 100 points, but you can dock like a Stomper on it, so you can have like a Stomper, not do anything for 1 turn, but then next turn, its Psycho Daka Blaster with its more Daka gets its full amount of shots, which is Super Gatler, 3d6, or 3d6 on the Def Cannon, for example. Like, imagine docking a Stomper into a Orc Mech Workshop and making the Def Cannon roll 18 shots at strength 10 -4 d6 damage? What? For a turn? You just have to give up 1 turn of shooting. But I would be very terrified of that. That would be terrifying. You know, to get 18 strength 10 shots at d6 damage. Just because, and with the mech shop and the stomper, you're essentially like it's about the same cost as the stomper was like in the index, which is pretty neat. Anyway, so that's pretty neat. I love it. I think that's great. With the Super Gatler, you can shoot twice or 3 times, right? So that'd be, you know, anywhere from 18, 36, you know, it's just nuts. I love it. I love it. Okay, so Guns and Grubbins, you know, they've changed a couple of the weapons and how they work, upgrades, so you can take a look at that. Nothing really kind of stood out to me. It's about the same. The biggest thing has been there's been point changes all around. You know, things have essentially gone down. There's a lot more synergy between some of the units. And you add this in to stratagem, cultures, relics, and that's where the source is going to be with you building your orc army. So you want to look at like what culture of orcs or what clan really stands out to you and pops out, and then you want to kind of adapt your sort of list building to that. You know, orcs can be played in different ways. You can play a very fast mechanized army, you can play an orc horde, you can play a mix, you can play walking, stomping things like dreads and stompers, or you can play like tracked vehicles, or you can play just an artillery gun line with looters and flash kits and mech guns. So how you want to play your orcs is totally up to you, the war boss. As a Drukhari player, I'm worried about how many boys are going to be able to fit, and how many shots they're going to be able to give, and how fearless they're going to be. It's going to be crazy. Okay, so the ways of the warbands. A couple of orc abilities in detachments. Now, super heavy auxiliary detachments do not get these. So, just so you know. So, this is ours, Zogoth. So, all troops gain objective secured, essentially. That means that when you have an orc infantry troop taking an objective, it can take it away from an enemy infantry unit that doesn't have the same rule. So it basically trumps the other unit taking the objective if the other unit doesn't have that rule. So even no matter how many models are within range of that objective. Then you've got clan cultures. So if you want to make a culture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 orc cultures. These are like your chapters in a Space Marine army. These are like your dynasties in a Necron army. These are like your craft worlds in an Eldar army. These are like your cabals, your obsessions in a Drukhari army. Clan cultures. So clan cultures, you know, you can choose. So Goths, they basically get Daka, but in close combat. So 6s to hit in combat, auto hit, extra attacks. Bad Moons, reroll 1s to hit in the shooting phase. Pretty cool. If you want to run a bunch of looters or flash kits. Bad Moons, pretty neat. Evil Sons, add 1 to move, adding 2 if the model's a speed freak. So if you get speed freak units in an Evil Sons, they all get plus 2 inches to their movement. Add 1 to advance and charge rolls, and you do not suffer for advancing and firing assault weapons. So super fast armies that can move, advance, and shoot at no penalty. If there's a war boss nearby, charge even after assaulting. So you're going to be on your opponent's face turn 1, turn 2 at the latest, and just start bashing some heads in, which is pretty neat. Very orky. Death Skulls, lucky, 6-up invulnerable save. And then all infantry gains the objective secure rule. So any infantry, it's pretty cool. You could have a unit of looters take an objective away from an enemy. It's pretty neat. Snake Bites, 6-up feel no pain for the whole army, essentially. And that's it. So 6-up feel no pain, but you can give it to vehicles, like everything. It's pretty neat. Blood Axes, Tactics. They gain the benefit of cover even when they're not on cover, so they can gain cover, which is pretty neat. Plus 1 save for basically the whole army, as long as the enemy is 18 inches away. In addition, you can shoot and charge, but not both if you fell back. So you can either fall back and shoot or fall back and charge, whichever you choose. So they have Tactics, which is pretty neat. And last but not least, Freebooters. You add 1 to hit rolls by culture if another friendly unit within 24 destroyed an enemy unit. So you can have like a unit of looters or the flash kits shoot, kill a unit, then every unit within 24 gets plus 1 hit because they have a competitive streak. And they're like, oh yeah, you killed something? Well, watch this. Pretty neat. So clan cultures. Also rule, you've got guns for hire, so flash gits, including Captain Bagruck, can be included in an Orc detachment without preventing other units from claiming a clan culture. So flash gits and Badruck, which are the pirates, can be in any clan, and they don't lose their clan ability. However, they do not benefit from the clan culture unless they have unless the detachment is the freebooters clan culture, which is pretty neat. Which means you can add the flash gits and Captain Badruck into any Orc army. They don't gain the clan culture, which is a shame because they won't get the reroll ones to hit, etc., etc. But if you make a whole freebooters like detachment with Captain Badruck, they're rerolling ones thanks to Captain Badruck, and they have the competitive streak, which is pretty neat. So you could have like those flash gits hitting on 3s in shooting with their 2 damage, strength 6 weapons. Like, just imagine. That would be crazy cool. And then you've got Grots. Units comprised entirely of Gretchen cannot benefit from clan cultures. In addition, Orc Stratagems can only be used on these units if it explicitly says that you can use them on Grots. They're just Grots. Who the heck cares? Okay. Stratagems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 12, 12, 26 stratagems. I'm not going to go through all of them. You're going to be able to get the book and kind of go through them yourself. Kind of cool. Some things I really liked. Number 1, mob up. So the mob up stratagem, you can mob up any 2 units. So any sort of infantry unit together. So that's 2 units of looters, 2 units of tank busters, 2 units of flamers, as long as 1 unit is 10 or more and 1 unit is 10 or less. So you can kind of mob them up. Pretty cool. You can heal characters with a command point with the Medi Squig. Your Deathkiller Wartrike, if it falls back, can do mortal wounds with a Snagger Grapple. Warp Head, it's 1 CP, makes a weird boy know an extra power and can manifest an extra power. Pretty neat if you want to have like some psychic support. 2 CPs for ramming speed. You can pick an Orc vehicle. Make a charge move by rolling 3d6, and an enemy unit within an inch takes d3 mortals on a 2+. Pretty neat. Great for like a battle wagon with a death roll if you want to get it stuck in. Boarding action for 1 CP. You can pick an own vehicle that is. You can pick an enemy vehicle that cannot fly, and any models inside embarked within the truck or battle wagon can attack a vehicle. Pretty neat. Extra gubbins, so if you want extra relics, that's your standard extra relic one. Get stuck in, lads. It's a 3 CP fight again stratagem, but it's not at the end of the fight phase. It can be when you choose to attack with a unit, you can make them attack again, or at the end of the fight phase. So you can use it either or. Pretty cool. 2 CPs. Orcs is never beaten. If your character dies, 2 CPs, he gets to attack again. Awesome. That's like a standard one we see for Smash Captains and things like that. So if your war boss dies, he can get his last swing in with his Power Claw, making him very dangerous. 3 CPs for a Force Field Projector means it doubles the range of a custom Force Field once per game for 3 CPs. So if it's the start of the battle phase and your opponent seizes on you and you don't want to lose a bunch of Orc boys, you can increase the range of your custom Force Field by double, which is pretty neat. 1 CP for -1 to hit in ranged weapons. Pretty cool. At the start of your movement phase. So you do it at the start of your movement phase, and then for that whole turn, -1 to hit them with ranged weapons. More DACA. That DACA rule that we were talking about. You can pick a unit, and that unit does DACA on 5s and 6s for 2 CPs. That's awesome. You know the combo I was talking about? Stomper with a mech garage nearby, making his super gun hit with 18 shots. Well, then give it super DACA, and then it gets extra shots on 5s and 6s. Awesome. 2 CPs for an Ard Boy. You can select a boy's unit, give them a 5+ save. Now this is at the start of the game, before the game begins, so you can do it to multiple units. Pretty cool. For 2 CPs, make them a 5+ save. Say they're freebooters or whatever, or blood axes, sorry, that they count in cover. All of a sudden they have a 4+ save. Pretty neat. Out of 18 inches. Teleporter, 2 CPs, and you can put a transport or a unit in a teleporter and deep strike them. 1 CP, you can have 10 models shoot grenades. Pretty neat. Oh, for 1 CP, you have 10 models shoot grenades. If you have a couple of tank buster bombs, like we saw in some of the units, you can spend 1 CP and shoot multiple tank buster bombs at a tank or something. 1 CP, grot shields. One of my favorite stratagems in this book. If a unit, an orc unit, suffers casualties and they're within 6 inches of a grot unit, on a 2+, you can take grots away. Just a grot is slain. Boop. For every 2 you roll. So if somebody comes up and goes, you know, my Custodes super jet bikes are going to rapid fire into your orc boys and kill 12 orc boys or 15 orc boys or 20 orc boys, and you have a unit of Gretchen within 6, and you spend 1 command point, roll, and for every 2+, a Gretchen dies instead of an orc. That's super good. That's really cool. 1 CP, loot it. If an enemy vehicle dies within 3 inches of an orc infantry unit, for 1 CP, they get an extra armor save. They basically loot it and make themselves extra armor plates. And if they're looters that do this, you regenerate that CP you spent on a 4+, because they're looters. Long uncontrolled bursts, +1 to hit against a unit that flies if you do it on an orc vehicle. Cool. As long as the orc vehicle you used can fly. So it's like a flyer-on-flyer thing. Unstoppable Green Tide. Sort of like a Tide of Traitors for 3 CPs. Pretty neat. And it's an Orc Boy unit that is at less than half its starting number. So if you've lost boys from a 30-man unit, they're like 14 men now, you can spend 3 CPs and recycle the unit. Pretty neat. So 3 CPs, Monster Hunters. So now that we go into the culture specific ones, so snake bites have a special one that gives them +1 to wound on a unit that has 10 or more wounds because they want to kill monsters. Speed freaks or evil sun speed freaks can pick a unit with 1 CP and they can basically move again, but it can't charge that turn, so they can super move or try to outflank you or something. Death Skulls get wreckers. You can reroll wound rolls made by a unit against a vehicle until the end of the phase. So shooting or combat, you can reroll wounds against vehicles, which is pretty cool. So Death Skulls, you could run them up and give it to a unit of looters or something. Pretty neat. And just reroll wounds against a vehicle. That's pretty awesome. 2 CPs for bad wounds as they show off. It can shoot again. So it's a 2 CP for a bad wounds infantry unit, can shoot again. It can be used only once per battle, once per phase, sorry. So you can only use it once per phase. Oh my goodness. So you can even do it when you Overwatch. Ho ho ho! That's cool. So say a unit of looters in the shooting phase. Say you take 2 units of looters, right? 1 10-man, 1 15-man. You mob them up. You have 25 looters in a unit. They just happen to be bad moons, right? Right? You following me? And then you shoot, and then you 2 CPs show off and shoot again with 25 looters. Oh, the humanity. This is great. Or even flash kits, right? Oh no, because they're not bad moons. Never mind, can't use with flash kits. But looters. Looters, absolutely. Blood Axe, for 1 or 2 CPs, they can be dead sneaky, so you can deep strike more units. Kill Cruisers, the freebooters have a Kill Cruiser in orbit. They basically pick 3 points on the battlefield and roll a d6 for each unit within 3 inches of these points, and a 5+, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. So it's like an orbital bombardment, but it's a more precise orbital bombardment because it's 3 points within 6 inches and any units within 3 inches of that. So it can do quite a bit of damage. Or really hit like a super heavy vehicle or something. You can like put 3 points around a super heavy vehicle within 6 inches of each other and try and really hit that like a knight or something. Scar Boys, that's a golf stratagem. One of my favorites. Spend 1 command point and make a boys unit that's not an Ard boys, so not one that has extra armor, but make a boys unit plus strength 5, which is really awesome. Although then you can only mob up with other Scar Boys. But 1 CP to make a boy unit strength 5, that's 30 boys for 1 CP becoming strength 5. And you can use it multiple times. So for 2 CPs, you have 60 boys. 3 CPs, 90 boys at strength 5. That's really strong, especially when they go in and do extra attacks. and they have like 4 attacks apiece with choppers. Like that is not anything to sneeze at. That is very strong. So 6 powers of the war. So we're going into psychic phase. Ed Banger, pretty cool. It's a basically wow, Ed Banger. It's an 18-inch range. If you roll higher than the toughness of the model, you kill a model. So you can snipe characters out with it, especially like Imperial characters, because they're only toughness 3. So on a 4, 5, or 6, or even Dark Eldar characters. Ooh. Warpath, basically Orc unit within 18 inches, extra attack, pretty neat. Really cool. Like, there's just so many ways to get more attacks here. It's really neat. The jump, pretty straightforward. Remove the unit, set it up within 9, counts as moved, etc. Fists of Gork, warp charge 6. Pick a friendly character, add 2 to strength and attacks. So you can make a character to be really beefy and killy. Decrunch, it's an 8-inch. Pick a unit within 18, d6 for each model. 6 is a mortal wound, and then roll 2 dice on a 10+. You roll your d6 for each model again. So you could potentially do, like, if you have a big unit and you roll 30 dice, and on 6s they do mortal wounds, and then roll on a 10+, so 10, 11, 12, you roll again for the whole unit. Pretty neat. And then you've got the Roar of Mork. Subtract 1 from leadership characteristics of every within 18. That's probably not one of the best ones. But I really like the Ed Banger, especially if you're going against, like, small, non-tough characters. Like, that is dangerous. That is very... Even Space Marine characters that are toughness 4. Like, on a 5 or 6, your character's just dead within 18 inches. Just dead. There's no... He's just died. That's crazy. You know, I can see some really cool combinations of, like Morty with the -1 toughness, and then allied with some Ed Banger guys. Okay. Shiny Gubbins. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Relics. One's a shooter that does 12 shots. It's called the Dead Shiny Shooter. Head Whopper's Kill Chopper is like a chopper that does 2 damage. And if you roll of a wound of a 6, you do mortal wounds instead of damage. Pretty cool. Super Cyborg Body. Basically, it's a 5-up. Feel no pain. The Killer Claw is a damage 3 claw that can reroll wounds. That doesn't suffer -1 hit. Pretty cool. Scorched Git Bones. It's a psyker. You can add 1 to psychic tests when manifesting a power. Cool. Git Stopper Shells makes basically a shooter or a combi shooter. -1 AP and 2 damage, which is pretty neat. Yeah, add 1 to strength, damage, and -1 AP. So it makes it better. The Lucky Stick is really cool. It's a Goth-only relic. Any character within 6 inches gets +1 to hit in combat, which is really awesome. In addition, the model that has the Lucky Stick can reroll hits and wounds in the fight phase. So it makes your like war boss with a Power Claw or something really good at hitting and wounding, and makes all the characters around him very strong. So you Orc players know how strong little Orc characters can be, like a knob with a boss pole, and you know, so you can get all these combos in and just hit like a truck if somebody gets too close, because your characters are going to be doing a lot of damage. Then you've got the Thinking Cap, which is a Blood Axe relic. So the Warlord can take an additional Warlord trait, or you can give it to another model, and that model gets a Warlord trait. Pretty neat, so you can have multiple Warlord traits. Redder Armor, it's basically an heavy armor thing. It basically helps the transport that the Evil Sun's in, gets an extra 1 inch to the move, and any enemy model within 1 inch, or any units within 1 inch of a transport at the start of the movement phase on a 4+ suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, you know, it basically does mortal wounds in combat to enemy units that are near them. Pretty neat. Then we've got Bad Moons. They've got like a heavy 2d6 strength 12 gun that auto hits. It's like a big thunderbuss. The Fixer Uppers is a Death Skull one. Basically makes him a mech, so he can heal vehicles. If he's already a mech, he automatically heals 3 wounds. The Buzz Bomb is a snake bite, one use only grenade, 6 inches. It's 3d6 grenade. And once you attack it, you can basically do it again. So it's like a grenade that bounces that does 3d6 strength 5 shots. Oh, and it automatically hits. So it's just 3d6 strength 5 hits automatically at -1 AP. That can be used twice at 2d6 attacks. Cool. And then the Bad Skull Banner. It's a freebooters one. You can make freebooters units automatically pass morale test. Probably not the coolest one. I really like the Lucky Stick. I really like the Redder Armor because you can have like a battle wagon jump in and do mortal wounds to everything. The Thinking Cap's pretty cool because some of the Warlord traits are neat. And, you know, that Buzz Bomb might surprise some people. And other than that, the Cyborg Body's pretty neat if you want to keep one of your characters alive. And that's pretty much it. Or the Killer Claw, the reroll wounds. But that Lucky Stick is probably my favorite. So, Warlord traits. You have 6 basic Warlord traits and then 1 for each of the cultures. Follow me, lads. Your Warlord gains the War Breaking Head, so they can advance and charge. And the range of each ability is, if they already have it, the range is increased by 3 inches, and you receive 1 command point. So it's an extra way of getting command points. The Big Killer Boss is number 2. Add 1 to wound rolls that target monsters or vehicles. If you want to go have him beat up. If your friend has a lot of carnifexes, put that one on it, because you can go up and just beat up a bunch of vehicles or tanks or knights, that sort of thing. Arda's Nails. Add 1 to your Warlord's toughness. Probably not going to see that very often. Number 4, Brutal but Cunning. Reroll hit rolls in the fight phase, made by the Warlord. Add 1 to the damage characteristics of the melee weapon if you charged. Or perform a heroic intervention. So you can have like a super cool like Power Claw doing like 4 damage. Nasty. Cunning but Brutal. You can redeploy D3 units. Pretty awesome. You can have like redeployment tactics. The Cunning. Might is right, +1 strength and attacks. Pretty straightforward standard stuff. So, Bad Moon's Warlord trait, 4+ invulnerable save for your Warlord. So, you have an invulnerable save now. Blood Axes, roll a dice for command points on a 6+, you get a command point back. That's for ones you spend. Cool. I've got a plan, lads. Death Skulls, reroll wounds of 1 when they target a vehicle. In addition, in the shooting phase, you can target characters within 18 if they're not the closest, so you can snipe characters with your Warlord. Evil Sons, units within 6 inches can fall back and charge. That's really strong if you're running a Speed Freaks army. Freebooters, Killer Reputation, reroll 1s for attacks made by friendly Freebooters units in the fight phase while they're within 6 inches of your Warlord. That's okay, but Captain Badruck does it better. Goths, Proper Killy, +1 attack. Probably the least cool one of all of them. Snake Bites, surly as a squiggoth. You can reroll morale tests and makes Gretchen within 12 inches fearless. So if you want a bunch of fearless Gretchen, Snake Bites. And then we've got the point values. As I said, everything went down in points. Tactical objectives, you know, you've got some really cool ones. So they basically replace like the basic things. So guys, I've just talked about the Orc Codex. It goes up for pre-release. Thank you so much, GW, for letting me do this pre-release. Guys that are Orc players out there, folks that have been playing Orcs and staying true to the index, you guys are going to be so pleased. This Orc book brings all the flavor of the Orcs and cuts out a lot of the crazy random stuff, which is great for competitive play. Not only narrative play, but for competitive play. You still have some really cool random things that you can do and some really cool stratagems that add to that flavor of the Orcs, but you're going to be able to run a list or an army that you want to play. All Orc mech stuff, all boys on foot, all tanks, all walkers. Let me know what your favorite style of Orc army, what are you most excited about? I know we kind of blew through this really quickly, but I'm going to be going through more content this week, pre-release week, with you guys. We've got battle reports that I'm going to be doing, so stay tuned for some really cool content before the book is even released here on SkaredCast. A huge shout out to all the denizens, the Patreons to the channel, who support all the content I create here in the Spire. If you would like to help me create content, check the link down below and get access to all the cool exclusives that we do, like pre-release videos, tactical videos, and a growing community of around the world like-minded hobbyists. I am Skari, your grateful host, signing off until the next video. Skari out.